handsome, clever, and rich, and perfectly convinced that she knows exactly what other people's hearts need, even before they know it themselves. Prepare to be enchanted and fall in love with the story of the charming and at times misguided Emma Woodhouse, the protagonist of Emma, one of the most insightful works by the English writer Jane Austen. But before we transport ourselves to the quiet village of Highbury, we need to meet the pieces that move this fascinating chessboard. Emma Woodhouse, the protagonist. She lives at the imposing estate of Hartfield. Emma is beautiful, wealthy, brilliant, and generous, but she suffers of a dangerous lack of occupation, which leads her to meddle in the romantic lives of everyone around her. Mr. Knightley, a gentleman and owner of the neighbouring Donwell Abbey. He has a very close family connection to the Woodhouses. He is the elder brother of John Knightley, who is the husband of Isabella, Emma's sister. This connection makes him almost a member of the family. However, throughout the narrative, we see this sentiment develop and transform into romantic love, although he prefers to keep it a secret, believing that Emma loves another. Harriet Smith, a young woman living at a boarding school whose parentage is a mystery. She is sweet but easily influenced, becoming Emma's refinement project. Emma decides to transform her into a high society lady and arrange a marriage with someone of high status whom she considers worthy of her friend. Throughout the work, many other important characters are introduced, contributing to the profound personal and moral transformation that Emma undergoes during the novel. Jane Austen, born in 1775 in the small village of Steventon, England, is one of the sharpest and most influential voices in world literature. Emma, published in 1815, was the last work released during her lifetime. Interestingly, Austen wrote Emma as a personal challenge, deciding to create a heroine whom no one but herself would much like. Yet, in the end, she became one of the most beloved in history. The work even served as the inspiration for the film Clueless, released in 1995. The narrative begins at the Hartfield estate, where Emma lives with her father, the affectionate but nervous and hypochondriac Mr. Woodhouse. The plot gains momentum when Emma's former governess and best friend, Miss Taylor, marries Mr. Weston and leaves the estate. Emma, believing the marriage was due to her intervention, convinces herself she has a great natural talent for matchmaking, a sort of Cupid for other couples. She soon finds a new project, the young Harriet Smith. Harriet had a mysterious origin and lived in a boarding school. Her lack of education and status were no deterrent to the young farmer, Robert Martin, who fell completely in love with her. Consumed by genuine love and affection, Robert decided to propose to Harriet. However, Emma persuaded her friend to refuse the proposal, convincing her she was too good for a simple farmer and deserved someone better, with status and a place in high society. Harriet, though pure-hearted, lacked personality and ended up being influenced by Emma's advice, refusing Robert's proposal, even though she liked him too. This act caused a serious argument with Mr. Knightley, a wise family friend and the only person with the courage to reprimand her for her interference. Although Emma had many flaws, she was not malicious. She truly believed her interference in others' lives was beneficial. Knightley knew this and tried to persuade his friend to be careful with her continuous meddling. They even argued several times because of it. Despite the arguments, Knightley admired and respected Emma. He was not harsh or aggressive, but rather a man truly concerned about the consequences Emma caused by interfering so much in the lives of others. But, with her usual stubbornness, Emma arranged a suitor she believed matched the status her friend deserved, Mr. Elton. However, the plan failed completely when Mr. Elton took advantage of a private carriage ride to declare his passion for Emma herself. Surprised and incredulous at the sudden declaration, Emma stated she believed he liked Harriet, which caused him to be offended by the insinuation. He assured Emma that he never thought of Harriet romantically, making it clear she was never even an option due to the difference in their social classes. For the first time, Emma realized that her reading of people had been a total failure. Perhaps if she hadn't interfered in her friend's life, things could have been different. In the end, Mr. Elton married a very wealthy woman shortly after Emma's rejection. Emma's meddling ended up deeply hurting the person she intended to help. After the fiasco with Mr. Elton, the village received 2 new members, the charming Frank Churchill and the elegant Jane Fairfax. Emma felt immediately attracted to Frank, the stepson of her former governess. Meanwhile, she developed an unprovoked dislike for Jane. Jane was very cultured and intelligent. Among her many talents, she stood out exceptionally at both playing the piano and singing. Her musical talent was so notable that even Emma, who felt some envy, recognized that Jane's skill was infinitely superior to her own. As time passed, Emma and Frank began a flirtation that soon became very evident on his part. Frank was a master at the art of pleasing. When he arrived, he focused all his attention on Emma. He praised her, sought her opinion, and most dangerously, he joined in her gossip. At one point, Emma created a baseless theory that Jane harbored a secret and reproachable passion for a married man. This entire dynamic and the belief that she was special made Emma feel validated. However, this charm did not please Mr. Knightley. From the beginning, he did not take to Frank and viewed his manners and way of acting with suspicion. This dislike revealed something much deeper about Knightley's heart. Even before Frank arrived in Highbury, there was a strong expectation that the young man and Emma would make an ideal couple. When Frank finally arrived and began flirting openly with Emma, Mr. Knightley was overcome by a strong jealousy, which he initially did not even understand. Because he visited Emma's house frequently and was in the habit of looking after her, she became a very special person to him, someone who was naturally the object of his tenderest affection and genuine care. However, as this relationship was built on the foundation of family intimacy and friendship, he grew accustomed to the feeling, not initially realizing it was romantic love. It was the jealousy of seeing Emma giving attention to and encouraging another man's advances that woke him up to the fact that he was in love with her. But even with all this feeling, he did not reveal it to Emma, preferring to hide what he felt as he was fully convinced she was in love with Frank.
Tes cheveux, une rivière d'or, le doux secret que mon cœur adore. Ton sourire, une lumière divine, chacun de tes gestes me fascine. Oh Emma, Emma, tu es ma seule prière, Emma, Emma, mon amour, Emma, Emma.
Every Everything comes to a head during an excursion to Box Hill, where Emma, Frank, Knightley and many others were present. During a moment of boredom at the picnic, Frank proposed a game for the group. Encouraged by the proposed game, Emma, trying to be witty and funny in front of Frank, ended up making a very inappropriate and ironic comment directed at Miss Bates, embarrassing her in front of everyone. Miss Bates was a poor woman, considered a spinster by the standards of the time, with a social reality very different from Emma's. Being a naive and very simple woman, she did not understand the mockery immediately. She only realized it later and was visibly ashamed by the public disdain. Emma ended up humiliating her in front of everyone without even realizing it or the real impact her words had on another person. Before they left, Mr. Knightley pulled Emma aside and reprimanded her very severely. He was indignant that she had used her intelligence to embarrass someone in Miss Bates's situation. Since Emma was a person of great influence and wealth, laughing at an older, disadvantaged woman in front of others was an insolent and cruel act and a terrible example. He highlighted the aggravating factor that her unkind attitude could encourage some of those present to treat the poor woman with the same disrespect. Mr. Knightley's words hit Emma deeply. She recognized the truth in what he said. Immediately after the reprimand, Emma was overcome by anger at herself, mortification, and deep unease. She questioned how she could have been so brutal and cruel to Miss Bates, and how she could have exposed herself to such a bad opinion from someone she esteemed as much as Mr. Knightley. The shock was visible. This was one of the major turning points in Emma's maturity, as it made her see her own arrogance and led her to visit Miss Bates the next morning, determined to be a better person and try to redeem herself. While Emma tries to make amends, a series of revelations shakes Highbury. It is discovered that Frank and Jane had been secretly engaged the whole time. Frank was raised by his wealthy aunt and uncle, the Churchills. His aunt was an extremely proud, difficult and controlling woman. She expected Frank to marry someone of the highest social standing and great wealth. If she discovered that the heir to the Churchill fortune was engaged to a penniless orphan like Jane, she would certainly disinherit him immediately. Jane, despite being educated, cultured, and elegant, had no family or money. She was about to accept a job as a governess, which, in the hierarchy of the time, was seen almost as a social death for someone in Frank's circle. Emma was used merely as a smokescreen so that no one would suspect the secret engagement. When the truth came out, Emma herself was initially indignant and described his behavior as a system of hypocrisy and deceit, espionage and treachery, for having played with the feelings of those around him while pretending to be free. But after the initial shock, anger gave way to other feelings. Emma realized how much Jane must have suffered hiding this secret for months and being forced to watch her fiancé flirt with another. She bitterly regretted not trying to be a better friend to Jane and felt ashamed of the cruel suspicions she had raised in the past when she imagined Jane harbored a forbidden love for a married man. The tables had turned, and Emma felt what it was like to be on the other side, with someone playing with her feelings. In a way, Emma already suspected that what she felt for Frank was not exactly love. The moment she realized this happened in a curious way. She spent time inventing dialogues and imagining what his declaration of love would be like, but she noticed that the conclusion of all her fantasies was always her refusing the marriage proposal. In these imaginings, the relationship always turned into friendship. It was by examining this pattern that she concluded his attention merely flattered her vanity, and that she actually saw him more as a fun distraction that fed it. For some time, she had not thought of him as a possible romantic interest. Her true feelings were about to be revealed in a conversation with her friend Harriet.
It all began when Harriet was surrounded by a group of gypsies asking for money on an isolated road. By a stroke of fate, Frank was passing by and ended up saving the young woman. Seeing the two arrive together and hearing the story of the dramatic rescue, Emma's imagination was immediately activated. She concluded on her own that her friend had a passion for him, and when she heard the news of his engagement, concerned for Harriet, the two began a conversation that would be the start of Emma's epiphany. During the conversation, Harriet revealed that she had fallen in love not with Frank, but with Knightley. She was enchanted by Mr. Knightley's manners, attention, personality, gallantry, and respectful way. Immediately after Harriet confessed she hoped her feelings were reciprocated by him, Emma closed her eyes and sat in absolute silence. These few minutes of meditation were enough for her to unlock the secrets of her own heart. The truth hit her with the speed of an arrow. She realized she was in love with Mr. Knightley. In that moment of epiphany, she felt that he could not marry anyone else but herself. It took only an instant for this revelation to emerge like an intense light that consumed Emma completely.
For so long, while meddling in the lives of others, Emma had neglected the most important person, herself. She wasted so much time, effort, and energy trying to control the actions, feelings, and decisions of others that she didn't realize she needed that for herself. No one else understood or listened to her like he did, and despite all her defects, flaws, and slips, Mr. Knightley was the only one who, instead of flattering or attacking her, understood, welcomed, and respected her, always believing the best of her. The realization that she loved Mr. Knightley and how much he meant to her had never been clearer than at the moment she realized she could lose him forever. In the past, when she believed Harriet liked Frank, she herself had incentivized and encouraged her friend to seize the opportunity. Now she felt the weight of how her own interference was making her experience what would possibly be the end of any hope that she and Mr. Knightley could be together. It was the final blow for Emma to understand the weight and consequences of her constant interference.
Oh, it was always you, Knightley, my love, it was always you. Always you, my dearest Knightley, it's always been you, Knightley, my Knightley, always you.
Meanwhile, concerned about the woman he loved, Mr. Knightley prepared to return from London. He had left for the home of his brother and sister-in-law, motivated by his jealousy of Frank. He wanted to learn to be indifferent to Emma and give her the freedom to live the love she wanted. But he couldn't hide the pain of seeing the woman he loved with another, and so he decided to leave to avoid suffering. However, the attempt failed completely because he chose the wrong place to forget her. His brother's house was full of domestic happiness. The environment only made him think even more about the woman he loved, struggling to endure the pain in silence.
Je te regarde de loin, ton rire est une douce mélodie. Dans cette lumière de l'après-midi, et mes mots restent au fond de moi, comme une vague qui se brise sans effroi. C'est beau cette douce mélancolie, c'est beau cette douce mélancolie.
It was during this frustrated stay that he received the news of the secret engagement between Frank and Jane. Believing that Emma was heartbroken and suffering because of Frank, he returned immediately to Highbury as fast as he could through heavy rain just to comfort her. Upon arriving, he found Emma walking through the woods, the weather having cleared after the storm. He took her arm, pressed her hand against his chest, and tried to console her, saying that time would heal the wound. In the conversation, Emma clarified everything and revealed that it had actually been a long time since she realized she had never truly fallen in love with Frank. Surprised by the revelation, a world of possibilities opened for Mr. Knightley, and he decided to reveal to Emma all the love he had hidden until then. In one of the most beautiful speeches in literature regarding romance, he says in one passage, "I cannot make speeches, Emma. If I loved you less, I might be able to talk about it more. But you know what I am. You hear nothing but truth from me." This speech demonstrates that the love he felt was so intense and profound that it could not fit into mere words or empty displays of affection. Mr. Knightley loved Emma in a comfortable way, demonstrated through actions, but now, at this decisive moment, he needed to use words to make it understood clearly and unequivocally that he loved her. After the declaration of love, Emma reciprocated his feelings. From that moment on, they considered themselves engaged.
All the winding roads have led me here, and now the path is finally clear. It's always been you. It's always been you, Emma. It's always been you. Oh, it's always been you, Emma. Emma.
Order is restored in Highbury. Harriet ends up marrying Robert, the farmer she loved from the beginning. He had never given up on her, and she had actually always liked him too. Jane and Frank also marry. Social impositions were no match to block their union. As for Emma, she took the firm resolution that she could never marry while her father was alive, as she could not abandon him, and he could never bear her moving house and seeing the family separated. Mr. Knightley, knowing this, made an enormous sacrifice for the time. Instead of taking Emma to his large estate, he proposed giving up his own independence and moving to Hartfield to live with Emma and her father. With everything resolved, the most anticipated event happens: the marriage of Emma and Mr. Knightley. A moment of immense happiness for the couple. On one side, someone who understood the other so well that even in the face of her flaws, he had the patience and wisdom to understand her motivations without judgment. On the other side, someone who grew and matured as she failed, recognizing her mistakes and evolving from them in a process of profound personal transformation. Emma teaches us that sometimes the greatest mystery we need to solve is not in the intentions of others, but within ourselves, and that love is not always noisy or hectic with butterflies in the stomach. It can also be the comfortable and cozy calm of another's presence, even in silence. Remember that this is just a summary and does not replace reading the original work. The book contains many more nuances and important events that make us reflect, fall in love, and come out transformed, just like Emma. And if you have already read the book, tell us in the comments what you thought and what touched you most in the work and why someone else should read it too. Thank you very much for your company, and we'll see you in the next video. Goodbye for now, dear readers.
The way your golden hair just seems to glow.